Hello, guys, and welcome here to yet another edition of Out of Turn 4. My name's Brian here. Welcome to the show. Before we begin, I got a few things I just want to get off my chest. And first off, I do want to apologize to those who normally watch Sunday Morning Tinkle for why we didn't have a show. Of course, Jason wasn't feeling well. I had a busy week, and I have another insanely busy week coming up here. So we're just trying our best at this point. We are going to try to have a show this weekend. I know we're missing a lot of the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Go Lightning. But we're going to try to get you caught up on everything next Sunday. And then we're going to try to make it more consistent again. We're both working full-time jobs, so it's really hard to get a schedule down. And I'm one that loves to preach consistency. I need to take my own advice, so it's mostly my fault. So my apologies for that. And then, of course, before we begin, we also want to, I just want to address a statement real quick. Of course, we're always talking about the news. We're always talking about sporting news. We don't talk about actual news because we don't want to get into the politics. But I would just like to say real quick that my thoughts and prayers are with our neighboring community. Of course, for those who don't know, I live in Rochester, New York, and so does Jason. And there was a tragedy that happened just an hour from our house, and very well, according to reports, could have happened here in Rochester. So our thoughts and prayers are with the community in Buffalo, of course. Those involved in the mass shooting at Tops Friendly Markets. Such an unfortunate circumstance, and certainly not anything you like to read or see. So again, our thoughts and prayers here at Tinkle Sports. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and the Tinkle group in general. So there we go. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Let's get on to the news here. So of course, Zane Smith opens up the weekend at Kansas with his third Truck Series victory. And of course, anytime you get 3 wins this early in the season, you're considered a favorite, right? I mean, boy, a change of scenery really benefited for Zane Smith. He's really taken that front row team to a whole new level. Again, we weren't sure what his future would be, but he's certainly proven that he deserves a higher ride. Of course, the problem with Ford, there's not many rides when you get closer to the top. So, at least in the Xfinity level. But to me, Zane Smith has proven that he's ready. And of course, his news in the silly season is going to get very interesting coming up in the next couple months, 3 months or so. I expect by August we should know something about him, but there's no doubt he's got the attention of the NASCAR Xfinity garage and possibly even some teams in the NASCAR Cup garage that would be willing to make a high stakes gamble. But again, 3 wins early in the year. It's impressive. It puts him certainly on the list of favorites going into the playoffs. So we'll see if he can carry that momentum through the rest of the season. We now move on to the Cup side. Kurt Busch, yes, you heard that right, Kurt Busch wins his first ever NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas at the track, not in his Cup career. Just want to clarify that. And again, man, these 1.5 miles look pretty incredible so far for the next generation of NASCAR Cup cars and NASCAR Cup racing. They really nailed it. I've seen people that are actually excited to go to Texas. And for once, I don't know if I technically question them. Because, let's face it, Kansas has not provided a good race in a long time. Probably since '08. I would say was the really last good Kansas Motor Speedway race. with Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson. And, Texas, I have stated multiple times on this show, has never provided a good race, at least in the last handful of years. But now it's looking like Texas is going to provide a really good race for the NASCAR Cup side, for the NASCAR All-Star race this weekend. So, Gen 7 is really given new life to the NASCAR Cup Series in the 1.5-mile circuits. And boy, I've seen some comments as well. Man, we should have given Chicagoland another chance, and I can't disagree with that either. I think, again, I'm cautiously, I wouldn't even say optimistic. I would actually more lean toward I have very low expectations going into Texas, but they're slightly higher than they normally would be because, again, with how good this next gen is raced on the 1.5 miles, should provide for some good racing. And then the other thing, of course, here's the real reason my expectations aren't necessarily getting fully raised, is because, again, I'm not sure if you saw most of the race weekend, but the left rear tire was a big issue for many teams at Kansas. So hopefully they'll get that all sorted out. They have a lot of work to do the rest of the year and into next season on those 18-inch wheels and those tires, because some of those tire combinations are absolute garbage so far. So, again, I can see the excitement for the 1.5 miles, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do as well at Texas. And it's rare for me to say that, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. But, of course, with Kurt Busch's win, I have released a Tinkle sports poll, or an out-of-turn 4 poll, if you will. Let me pull it up on my social media feed. Of course, you can follow me at Tinkle _ B Hummel. So be sure to follow me there. I do have a poll up. Of course, I've been discussing on Twitter most of Monday about who, the speed at 23:11. I've also tapped into Ross Chastain. Has taken his team to another level. Of course, he leads the series with William Byron with 2 wins this season. So that led me to question, which NASCAR driver from Chip Ganassi Racing last year do you feel has been a bigger help to their new organization? And of course, it's between Ross Chastain at Trackhouse and Kurt Busch at 23:11. So again, be sure to go vote on that poll. It's Tinkle _ B Hummel, and I've also retweeted it to the at Tinkle Sports page, so you can go check it out there. But I'm gonna give my thoughts now on that exactly. I feel like, it's easy to say Ross Chastain. It's very easy to say him right now because he's got 2 wins. He's running top 10 almost every race. But how much of that, and again, this is a big but, how much of that advantage is on the fact that he's got the same team that he had last year? Keep in mind, Phil Surgeon's back with him on the pit box. I believe he's got most of his pit crew from last season as well. And really, he's got essentially the same team he had at Chip Ganassi Racing last year. So, is that in any way, to me, it's sort of a head start. He got kind of a head start on Kurt Busch. And again, keep in mind, he's also been made better because of Kurt Busch. So it's a question within a question. How much of that was Kurt Busch's impact last year? How much of that was what Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing got from Chip Ganassi Racing? So it's sort of questions within questions here. Of course, like I said, it's very easy to say Ross Chastain, and you wouldn't be wrong to say that. But also, I'm looking at Daniel Suarez. He's improved a lot this year. He's looked a lot better. But we know what Daniel Suarez is capable of. And let's face it, Daniel Suarez has always had, to me, a high expectation to perform at the NASCAR Cup level, only because he is a NASCAR Xfinity Series champ. So, I think it's easy to lean toward Ross Chastain, but honestly, I'm going to lean toward Kurt Busch. Again, because his experience, his wealth of knowledge in running in the Cup Series for over 20 years. And again, his experience alone, it may not be seen now, but I think, at this point in the season, yeah, Ross Chastain has had the impact. But what you don't see behind the scenes is what Kurt Busch is having an impact on. And again, look at 2311. They have had a lot of speed this year. They really have looked good. Okay? It's not like they've looked awful. It's not like their speed has been horrendously off. It's not like they're battling for 30th every week. Okay? They're in the playoff hunt. They're both, I believe, in the top 20 or top 25 right now. I would consider that a really good year for a second-year team. So there's no doubt that Kurt Busch is having an impact on that team. But again, what hinders them is the constant pit road issues. It's a constant issue for them. They need to get this pit situation figured out, because I believe they are the weakest of the Toyota teams in terms of issues on pit road mishaps. So, again, as far as the driving standpoint, to me, Bubba Wallace has looked a little bit stronger this year than he did last year. It may not show in the results just yet, but he looks like he's stronger. I mean, Kansas, they're already saying, Denny Hamlin has said it, Kurt Busch has said it. Really, everyone said it, that Bubba Wallace put together probably his best race at Kansas, and he came home in 10th. Okay? Again, that's things behind the scenes, that's things that fly under the radar that you're not seeing. Okay? There is no doubt that Kurt Busch has had a great impact on 2311. And again, and it's only the tip of the iceberg there. Whereas, again, Ross Chastain, again, I'm not going to disagree with anyone that says that Ross Chastain has had a great impact on Trackhouse Racing, because there's no doubt he's had a great impact with them. Again, they acquired the Chip Ganassi Racing team that was in 2021. They acquired that team. So he's familiar with the equipment, he's familiar with how things are run there, and he's familiar with the people. And that helps Daniel Suarez as well behind the scenes, because now he can be like, hey Daniel, this is how things went last year. This is how, and they can compare and figure out what works best for the both of them. So, and on top of it, he's taking what Kurt Busch taught him. He's taking what Kurt Busch taught him last year when those two were teammates, and he can take that going forward, that kind of wealth of knowledge, that experience. So I feel like Kurt Busch made Ross Chastain a better driver, and now Ross Chastain can do the same for Daniel Suarez and help him reach that next level, which of course is victory lane. Maybe not soon, I anticipate soon. But, again, I'm not ruling anything out. We'll see what happens as the season goes along. We do have one more race we got to recap, though. We're falling a little behind here. IndyCar GMR Grand Prix, of course. Colton Herta went on to victory lane, and he won it in bizarre fashion. First off, before I even get into the finish, what about that save? That save by Colton Herta. single-handedly one of the greatest, probably the best save I have ever seen in the history of IndyCar. That car went drift all the way through the turn. He kept up with Pato O'Ward. Granted, Pato O'Ward was on the wet tires. But, those kinds of things that happen, you look at it, and easily Colton Herta should have spun out. He should have gotten stuck in the grass. And frankly, it should have been a full course caution because if he got stuck in the grass on slicks, he was not getting out. So, but regardless, he goes on to win the race. And I'm just going to say it. Indy put on a hell of a race this weekend. This is what we've waited for from the Indy road course. We have waited for an event like this to stand out from the rest. We have not seen that. This race they have pushed down our throats for years as the opening to the month of May. For the last few years, it's been pushed as the opening, the prelude to the month of May. And finally, they got some clips. We got a glimpse of why. And again, you can thank the rain for that. And again, I think that kind of race has a huge impact as we go into this weekend, as we go into today for practice, we go into the next few days of IndyCar practice for the 500. And now we can carry it into this weekend when we go into qualifying for our 4-lap averages, as well as the Fast 12, the last row, and then we can also carry it into the weekend after when we finally see the green flag for the greatest spectacle in all of racing. This is huge, not just for the drivers, not just for the fans, but for casual viewers too. When casual viewers see this kind of racing, this adds hype to the race. There are people who only watch for the Indy 500 only, but maybe they just happen to glance and see, IndyCar's on TV. I don't see anything else that I'm interested in just yet. It's those kinds of fans that, watching that kind of racing, and it really adds a lot of hype, and it's good for NBC entering the Indy 500. So we'll see what happens. Of course, I think it will carry into the Indy 500, and we'll see a great race Memorial Day weekend. On to racing news now. Andy Lally has announced he has joined Alpha Prime Racing for the first ever NASCAR Xfinity race at Portland in June. No sponsorships have yet to have been announced, but it's a good pickup for Alpha Prime Racing. We've seen what Andy Lally can do in mid-grade equipment and lower-grade equipment on these road courses, and on top of it, we're heading to a first ever road course on the NASCAR Xfinity side. Some of these guys have never seen this road course before, so he's got a leg up going into this race, and I feel like that's going to give him quite an advantage as we begin. Of course, Andy Lally has a vast resume of driving on road courses. Anyway, moving forward, of course, let's talk some SRX. We have not talked about that yet this season on Out of Turn 4. Chase Elliott, of course, if you recall, the last time he ran SRX, he ran it at Nashville Fairgrounds in the finale and went on to win the race, the main event. He will be joining Dave and Ryan Blaney in the SRX finale at Sharon Speedway. And again, Chase Elliott, 1 start, 1 win in SRX competition at Nashville. And he is joining what is going to be a really stacked, a powerhouse lineup for SRX throughout the whole season. Not just at Sharon, but the whole season. Of course, as it's noted, of the full-time drivers, we have Ryan Hunter-Reay from IndyCar. He is going to be joining the field full-time, as will Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle from the NASCAR side. They'll be joining Tony Stewart, Paul Tracy, some of the regulars from last year. Of course, then on the part-time side, you've got the 4-time Indy 500 winner Helio Castroneves, who will be running, again, a partial schedule. Haley Deegan, Ernie Francis Jr. How's about this? 2-time IndyCar champion Joseph Newgarden, Matt Kenseth, and then, of course, Chase's dad, Bill. The aforementioned Ryan Blaney. And how's about this? Also joining them is Ken Schrader. Again, a well-known short track and dirt track specialist. So, again, a stacked lineup for SRX. And, of course, it kicks off, I believe, in 4 weeks. And that'll be on CBS. So, boy, I'm telling you, the hype around SRX is getting real. And I can't wait to watch this. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be more fun than last season. And, of course, Willie T. Ribzo is also going to be their roving reporter, which could be even more fun because he competed against those guys last year. So, again, I'm looking forward to these 6 weekends in the summer. It will be a lot of fun. All right. We're on to the picks for the weekend. Let's start with the Camping World Truck Series of Texas. My pick is Zane Smith. It was tough. I was going to pick Ross Chastain, but he really hasn't found speed, I don't think, with Nice Motorsports. I'm sure he'll find his way there this weekend, but we'll see. Again, Zane Smith, I think, continues his hot streak going into the weekend at Texas. Now the NASCAR Xfinity side, I think we'll see a Cup driver winning, and of course that being William Byron. Of course, he'll be driving that number 88, assuming that the qualifying session doesn't rain out. But my pick is William Byron for that race if he makes it in. And then, of course, to the All-Star race itself, I'm going to pick Kyle Larson. I think Chevy is going to continue their little bit of a hot streak. And I think they'll find the speed. I think Kyle Larson will win the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race this weekend. Of course, we want to thank you for watching. Before we go, though, I do want to update you guys on one thing regarding next week. Of course, as you guys know, we are entering a big race weekend. Not this weekend, but the next weekend, May 28th, May 29th. We are entering a huge racing weekend across all of motorsports, of course. We got the Monaco GP. We got the Coca-Cola 600 at night. And in between those races, we've got the Indianapolis 500. Probably the biggest event of the day. So with that, we felt here at Tinkle Sports, it might be good. Actually, it is a good idea to add on an extra show to cover this entire weekend in auto racing. So next Tuesday, the 24th, we will have our regular show. Of course, that will be 5 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube and Facebook Watch. We will basically do things as normal. We will recap the race weekend. We will give you the latest headlines. We will also make our Monaco GP picks as well as our Coca-Cola 600 weekend picks. We will not be making our Indianapolis 500 picks. So don't expect that on Tuesday because we are going to have a special for the biggest event of the weekend, and that, of course, being, again, the aforementioned Indianapolis 500. And that will be on Friday, May 27th. That'll be our Indianapolis 500 special. We will recap everything up to this point. All the practice sessions, the qualifying, the Fast 12, I believe it is now. And, of course, Carb Day we will try to recap as well. If you remember last year, Zach Carmine and I played a game called Contender or Pretender. I went through the whole 33 car field and listed off who I thought was a contender or a pretender, and so did Zach. And then, of course, we'll make our race picks. That's all going to come up on Friday night. Again, it's 2 hours later than our normal show. I was going to do it at noon. I decided let's do it in prime time. So 7 p.m. Eastern, Friday, May 27th, our Indianapolis 500 special. Again, Friday, May 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook Watch. That is when our Indianapolis 500 special will be. And then, of course, we will kick off the weekend in fashion. So we can't wait to bring it to you this weekend. Next week. We can't wait to bring you coverage of the greatest month in all of racing, the greatest weekend in all of racing. So we hope you will tune in. We do want to thank you for watching today. Once again, our thoughts and prayers to the people, our neighbors in Buffalo, New York. And of course, we will see you back here next week with another edition of Out of Turn 4. Be sure to tune in tomorrow to No Final Bell, and hopefully this Sunday we'll be back with another edition of Sunday Morning Tinkle. But otherwise, I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Till then, goodbye, everyone.